You were on here, I think it was a few weeks ago. I can't remember. I lose track of time. And we went over a bunch of points, and I think we're going to finish up on some of those points.
Okay.
But first, I wanted to hit first was my question of, you come home one day and there's somebody dead laying in your living room because, let's say it's a family member or a friend.
Sure.
What do you do? What's the procedure?
As a matter of fact, that has just happened recently. If the deceased is under a hospice care, then the hospice worker, the hospice nurse, has to be called first, and then they would have to notify us. If this were a sudden death, somebody not under, just dropped from a heart attack or just something, then the sheriff or the police, depending on whether you're in town or out of town, would have to be called. The EMTs would call out, and either the JP or a sheriff's deputy or someone would then call us.
Okay,
And
so
that's the procedure.
so I walk in the house. There's a dead body laying there. Obviously, I
Right.
know the person, family or friend. I go, oh my goodness. First thing I do is call 911.
First thing you do is 911. That is exactly right, or the hospice.
Okay. I wanted to have Ross Watson in here because I knew we were going to come on here and talk, and I wanted to talk about a follow-up, or actually we were going to precurse you with tampering with evidence. So let's say somebody was dead in your home. Ross and I were going to talk about, okay, there's somebody dead there, don't mess with it and tamper with evidence, and then you were going to follow up with the procedure. So this is what we're doing now.
Okay. If there's a question, unknown cause of death, then there's going to be a law enforcement person there, and they will tell highway accident, anything like that. They go in and they'll do their inquest or their observations or in pictures and or whatever, and then they signal to us when it is okay to enter and pick up the deceased.
You know, the reason I bring this up is, I mean, 99% of the time people are going to call 911, and that's just an obvious thing to do. But because you are so involved with this procedure, it's important to show the difference in how it works, or the separation between when you come in and when you don't.
I mean, if your wife got mad at you and she decided to pop you, and she calls us and says, oh, my husband died, we need you to come pick him up. We can't. No.
Not unless you're part of the mafia.
911.
It was a Godfather movie.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
Now we do have some private services. We just did one this week. They didn't want any obituary. They didn't. It was total just family. No public notification, and that's their choice. But
really, I thought a public notification of death was mandatory.
No, it is not. Okay. No, you don't have to have an obituary published in the paper, nor can you, most of the time, there have been a couple of exceptions, nor can you publish an obituary, because newspapers generally have a policy that it has to come from a funeral home, because what if you were being punked? It was your 60th birthday and they wrote a note for you to wake up and read. So
that'd be dirty, man.
That would be, yes. And so, you know, papers generally have this policy. You don't publish unless it comes from a funeral home.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so it's pretty cut and dry then.
Yes.
Somebody's dead in your lawn or your front, in your living room. You call 911, which is pretty obvious. 911 will take care of all the details. And just for the sake, in case you did hit me over the head with a pipe, legally, don't move the pipe, otherwise you're tampering with evidence.
Exactly. Don't touch.
All right. Now that that's done, Vicki, why don't you give us, I guess, a lead into the rest of what we were talking about before, and make mention real quickly of what you had mentioned before, maybe just the points, and we'll go over the rest of it.
I'm going to pick up with options. Are your options limited due to personal beliefs? No, they're not. Now, building a funeral pyre in my chapel, we wouldn't do that. But no, you come in, you discuss what your beliefs are, or better yet, what you don't believe in, and then we build that funeral and what's going to happen around your wishes. That's just the way it works.
Have you had any that you would call, I haven't had one of these, I have a whole bunch of these types, but this was an interesting one that sticks out from memory?
my husband actually, while he was doing his apprenticeship, had a Buddhist service in which out in the cemetery they did build a little fire in which everybody, all the monks put money into this fire so that when this deceased went to heaven, he would have money with him to take care of things. And then they did the circle around the grave space because they were escorting him to heaven. Now, I mean,
that's it. I mean, you got a belief. That's what you want to do. God bless America. You know
exactly. So
that's interesting.
It is. It is. Then one of the other questions was basic costs and additional expenses. I think we encourage families to call, check, see what their options are. Don't just take my word for it. And somebody will call and say, "Okay, what do you charge for a basic funeral?" Well, okay, what is a basic funeral? Okay, we can pick you up, do the preparation, and use of facilities. Those charges are this. Mm-hmm. But you really determine what the basic cost is. And I hate using this example. It's kind of like buying a car, and often we get compared to being used car salesmen. But you pick the casket, low end to high end, pressed wood to copper or brass.
You're hesitant on this, and I was hesitant to ask this question, and that is because you're out there and you're competing with other people. How do you tactfully say, "Hey, I can give you a 2-for-1 sale," or "I can give you a discount here"?
First of all, we don't believe that. We don't believe in doing that. We don't. You ask a specific question, we'll give you a specific answer. The question is, or the point is, general population don't know the questions to ask. Yeah. Because those prices that you get quoted don't include the cost of a grave opening and closing. They don't include the cost of flowers. They don't include the cost of death certificates. Well, how many do I need? Well, do you have property? Does this deceased have property in their name that needs to get transferred? Do they have bank accounts?
Well,
do they have charge accounts?
Didn't even think about that.
How many life insurance? How many insurance policies? Because each one needs a death certificate.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't think
so
about that.
there's so much that you can. I mean, we could tell you what a basic, minimal, but then there's all of this other stuff that you decide. We're not in control of.
So what you're saying is you decide what the basic minimum is.
That's exactly right.
Out of the necessity of what is needed.
Yes.
And based on your religious preference and what you want to
correctly.
Okay.
That doesn't include I can't pronounce it. Where some people will make a donation to the priest or the preacher or the to the musician. Mm-hmm. Well, that can be $50 or it can be $200. It's whatever well, that all kind of goes into the cost of that funeral. Mm-hmm. Again, there's all of these, we call them, most of this is called cash advance items or out of pocket items that you choose to spend and you choose to do. So those are,
some are necessities you can't get around.
Right.
Others are what your
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Can you customize a funeral service? Absolutely. Absolutely. We've had families come in and they wanted grandma's favorite rocker up by the casket, and they wanted her handmade quilt over the casket, or grandpa's favorite fishing pole, or cowboys' boots and hats and a lariat and spurs.
Would you bury me with a loaded 45 on my shoulder?
I can do that, but I don't know about loaded. I don't. To my knowledge, there is not a restriction.
Okay.
Not a restriction.
Because if I'm going 6 feet under, I need something with me.
You want to be able to shoot those worms, right?
I have a feeling there'll be less angels. There's more little.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I know your children.
Yeah, you know my children. I'm the one I'm worried about. Okay.
Okay.
Well, let me recap
Okay,
that. You
sure.
basically, you got a list of what everything costs.
Right.
And it's basically, I come in and say, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. And depending on how much it costs, it's dependent upon what I want.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's...
You're in total control. And there are some funeral homes that say, okay, here's this price when you're shopping. But they don't tell you what it doesn't include.
Let me tell you something when you say that. And I want this is a big thing.
Okay.
You get a client come in, and they know you're like that, they're going to love you to death. You tell them the stuff right up front, and although people may go, oh, I didn't realize, they go, thank you for telling me, and it's just like they spread the word. Vicky goes it, tells it straight, knows how it is, because that's how I am with my guns. I tell people, look, I'm going to pretty much screw you out of this gun if you're going to try and sell it to me, because I got to make a buck.
Right.
You'll make a bunch more money if you go and sell it to a private citizen. And you know what they go, because you're so honest, I still want to do business with you. And I'm like, okay, it's up to you. But being that way, I think is a fantastic thing. That's the service part of it.
The internet inquiries, the phone inquiries. What I want to be. What do you charge? Blah, 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 blah. Well, what do you want? Oh, well, I don't know. But so and so said this is their. Well, what does that include? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, find out. Let me know, and we'll talk. Okay. Payment options. In the way back, absolutely not too distant back, you paid cash. You came in, wrote a check. Or you counted out the bills for a funeral.
They want the cash because they're afraid.
That's just the way it was. No, that's just the way it was.
Okay.
They didn't have charge cards, or they didn't, And if you wanted to come in and do a prearranged type thing, you paid cash out right then. Today, there are actually insurance companies who specialize in pre-arranged or pre-need funerals. And it actually locks in a price. It freezes at today's cost of that funeral. Freezes it. And you can certainly come in, put it on a charge card. You can certainly write cash for it. Or if you go through buy this policy and you want to pay it out, it's at a no interest. It doesn't get counted as an asset. Let's say grandma needs to go into a retirement home, and you want them to qualify for certain benefits, for medical benefits or for different things. If it's a life insurance policy, that's counted as an asset, therefore counted against them. But if it is a specific burial policy, it's not counted as an asset. So it helps to spend some money down to do that. Or you can choose to pay it out. I think you can take 5 years to pay off.
I mean, we're all going to die, so we need to prepare for this stuff.
Well,
it's a burden on others.
I'm fixing to reinforce that statement in just about a minute.
Can I ask you a question before you do that?
Sure.
Do you have any information or knowledge if an insurance company would pay a policy to somebody that they believe from a medical doctor is going to pass away in 3 months so that they can get all their stuff taken care of? Are you familiar with any of that?
No, really. There are some questions that we ask if they're wanting to buy a policy and they're wanting to pay it out and they have a known medical condition that maybe is a short
right.
life. There are laws and there are ethical and moral
I'm sure
situations.
It's a tricky situation.
But if you pay it out, if you choose to pay it out, I think, depending on the insurance, that you have to be alive for a minimum of 2 years before it. Otherwise, you can go ahead and buy it, you can pay it out, but at your time of death, you only get what you paid into it.
Okay, I got you.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. One of the questions: Are your staff on call 24/7? Yes, we are. A lot of funeral homes have gone to answering services. We don't believe in that. If something has happened to someone that you love, the last thing you want to do is, let me take your name and number and I will pass this on to the funeral director.
That's where the customer service comes in. That's
exactly right. We are 24/7. It's my husband and my son, Ryan. They're both funeral directors. My daughter-in-law We all take calls. We share that responsibility. You are not going to get an answering machine, and you are not going to get an answering service. You're going to talk to someone from our funeral home. Period. The end.
Hey, Vicki, you know how before we got on air, you said I want to go over some things. You probably have questions. Well, a question popped.
Yes,
Okay.
sure.
It's a stupid question too. In my business, in the gun business, there seems to be a tendency of a slow moving business in the summer months because people are on vacation, all that kind of stuff. In the death business, do you have any dry spells?
Well, it's funny that you should ask it. Funny, but not funny. When we first got into the business, summer kind of seemed to be the slowdown time. And what we would see, and still to some extent see, is when there are sharp spikes in weather. Temperature goes up. There'll be the old folks. They'll say, "I just can't do another season. This is my last season." Or temperatures drop and get real cold. It'll be the same thing.
Wow, that's interesting.
It is. But this summer we've been pretty busy. You would not believe how many folks are out in Milam County that don't have air conditioning.
No, I would be surprised because you would think it would be a necessity.
You would think. But I am here to tell you firsthand, personal experience, recent, no air conditioning. Didn't even see a window fan. Saw a little box fan, but that was it.
So they're cooking themselves, huh?
Well, if you've gotten sick, or you have a heart condition, or you have something going on, you need to watch that body temperature. And if you don't think about it, then a family or a neighbor or someone, guys, get out, check on your neighbors, because there's nothing worse than going in and finding someone who's died alone for 4 or 5 days.
That's right. And this heat, it's going to stink.
It is bad.
Okay.
Okay, last question that you had. Are you familiar with final expense insurance? Oh, we could just almost do a show on this. On television, you see these oh, so-and-so died and he had this burial insurance and blah, blah, blah. It is not burial insurance. It is a life insurance policy with a named beneficiary. Let's say your mom bought I don't want to give a name, bought one of these that you see advertised on TV and named you as beneficiary. And she passes and she thinks she bought that to cover her funeral expenses. But you as the beneficiary are not obligated to use that for her funeral expenses.
Huh.
You can go, no, my mama or my grandma or my whoever, they really wanted me to have that money. And I don't have the money to pay for a funeral.
So
Yes, we see that. Just a few years ago, funeral homes could not be named as beneficiaries on life insurance policies. They've changed that. And I don't know for a fact, but I would guess because some of this happens.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And so if that's the way you want to go, but again, before you purchase that type of policy, ask a question, because there's going to be a clause in there that says you can't die within a certain period of time. I'm just saying.
Vicki, time is ticking. I don't
Yes.
know how long you got these numbers.
Yeah,
here.
I just real quick. Okay, this is to scare some life into you. I went and did some quick research just from our service from January 1 until today.
Okay.
And these are deceased that are 65 or younger. They're under 65 years of age.
Oh gosh, you better add one. I might be there soon. Go ahead.
We had 12 people that were in their 60s to pass away this year. 7 people in their 50s to pass away this year. 2 people in their 40s, 1 person in their 30s.
Are you going to be talking about the breakdown of how the death was by sickness?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't. There were 7 females, 15 males.
I could buy that. I can get the males.
So I got on and I love Google. The average age for a first heart attack male is 66, and for a female it's 70. But the chances of a first heart attack begin to increase in men at age 45 and for women at age 55.
We're just
So we have all these boomers.
business is good for
What
you.
year? What year were you born?
I'm the last. I think I'm the last year of boomer.
Last of the
63,
boomer.
63
Okay.
there, yeah.
Okay. You need to take this seriously, and this is. I'm like, oh, I don't want to. They don't want to
With all
talk
the
about
other
their
stuff I gotta worry
mortality.
about, now I gotta
They
worry
don't.
about it.
Yes, you do. This is. You need to take care of business.
Vicky, I just want my heart to explode, and I just want to drop dead. I either want to drop dead that way, die in a blaze of glory, something I don't know, but
We don't know. We
we
don't know, and
you know what
we're
gets
taught
me?
that our days are numbered.
almost all my life I've been nothing but training,
Yes,
protecting others,
yes.
sheepdog type of guy. Watch, I'm gonna die. Some old rickety guy didn't use his skills.
You just don't know.
Oh, no.
Don't know.
All right, well, Vicky, look, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Listen, everybody, you need to support this woman. She supports the show. She's got a great service. She's a great person, very personable, and the customer service is great. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Okay, our phone number is 254-6973-661. You can certainly call us that way. We www.mblfuneral.com. We have a website, which we are revamping a little bit. That will answer some questions for you. You can contact us 24/7. There is not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have a question. You want to know something. You pick up that phone. You call us. You talk to Maurice or Ryan. Any of us. We will answer your questions. And if we don't, I'm not saying we know all the answers. If we don't, we know where to look to find the answers that you need so that it helps you make the decisions, the right decisions that you need to make.
Excellent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the first part of the interview that we did, I can't remember, a few weeks ago on my YouTube channel. Go to Aaron's Gun Shop YouTube channel. This will be posted probably by Tuesday of this upcoming week. So if you want to revamp or re-listen to all that Vicky has said, it's going to be on those videos. And Vicky, you're welcome to link to
Well, I hope that we hit some critical points and some things that maybe people didn't know, or at least spurred you to think about something like this.
Very
It's
good.
take care of business.
Vicky, thank you very much.
You're welcome.